Hello, welcome back to The Reading Mama. My name is Heather, and today I have another author spotlight for you, Ellen McGinty, and I'm going to tell you about my favorite books. So she has two books. I think she does have like a little novella, like a debut novella that I haven't read yet, but these are her two books, and her first book was my absolute favorite book of the last year, and I reread it again this year, and I still absolutely love it. And after reading her newest book, I want to go back and read this one. So she has two books. We have Saints and Monsters and Last Wayfinder, and they are companion novels or interconnected novels, if you will, set in the same kingdom. You could definitely read one and not read the other, and you'll still do fine with the story. However, if you want the best experience, you'll want to read both of them. Somebody asked, which should I read first? Because this comes first and this is 20 years later. I feel like you could read it either way. You really could, because if you read this, then you know the characters that are happening in here. But if you know this, you find out what happened to the characters in here. I would read this one first because this one might devastate you. But things that they have that are in common. Let's start there. So they are both set, Saints and Monsters and The Last Wayfinder are set in a fantastical medieval Japan, and it is a beautiful setting. I love all the beautiful references. If you don't know, Ellen McGinty, the author, lives in Japan, and she just makes a beautiful world. Absolutely beautiful. Very much medieval Japan, or maybe not medieval Japan, like late 1800s-ish Japan. So not medieval, but an older, more respectful time of Japan, where you still have the kimonos and all the things, and it's such a beautiful setting that you fall in love just from that. Both stories are YA romantasy. Both stories are have magical elements, and we have dragons in the first one. In this one, we have wayfinders who have a magical ability to find different things. Both have both, because it's the same world. They just have different focuses. They both have kind of an enemies to lovers thing going on. Like I said, they both have sibling dynamics, which are beautiful. So you have two sisters in each and a brother in one. And there is a sister who is cursed, and the other sister, the younger sister, comes in to help. They both have a focus on finding strength in your weaknesses and accepting your weaknesses, not as a curse, as a fault, as a problem, but finding a way to live and survive and thrive through your weaknesses. So let's start with Saints and Monsters. Saints and Monsters, like I said, you have two sisters. The oldest gets cursed. They're princesses of the kingdom of Ezo. And Princess, why can I not think of her name? I can only think of Mira. I can't think of what her sister's name is. You would think I would know. Runa. So Runa is the oldest sister, and she's getting ready to take over the kingdom. And in order to do that, she has to face a trial of some aspect with the dragons in their kingdom, because their kingdom of Ezo has had a long-standing kind of treaty with the dragons, that the dragons, I don't know, they don't hunt them, and the dragons bless their land. And since their mother died, their father has been ruling, but it is supposed to be a matriarchal kingdom, and so it's time for Runa to take the throne. Well, the night before, she is cursed, and Sister Mira tries to step up and solve all the problems. The only thing is that Mira is also considered cursed because she was born with a struggle that is signified by the color of her hair, but it is a weakness of her bones and frailty in her muscles that makes it difficult for her to move, painful all the time. She has to wear a special corset to try to even have semblance of it. Anyways, Mira steps up to try to solve the problems of the kingdom, save her sister from the cure, and things go awry, as things do in a fantasy novel. And she ends up on a adventure or quest to try to do all the things to save all the people. And through that, she comes alongside someone who really is, I hesitate to call him an enemy, but we're going to use enemy for lack of a better word. And he obviously comes along. There's a forced proximity kind of situation going on. He comes along for the ride, and they struggle to solve the things that are happening in the kingdom. And I'm going to stop right there because I'm afraid I'm going to give away some information, but it is a beautiful story inside and out. I love the testimony of finding strength in your weakness. And Ellen McGinty just has beautiful writing that has me laughing and crying all the way through. I read it last year. It was my favorite book of the year, and I reread it again this year, and I'm so glad I did, because The Last Wayfinder takes place 20 years in the future in the same kingdom, and things have gone haywire in the kingdom. We are now following, we get tidbits of the characters in there, so you could read them all alone. You don't have to read them both, but you should. They're so good. So I highly recommend that you read Saints and Monsters first and then read The Last Wayfinder. The Last Wayfinder, like I said, takes 20 years, blah, 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 I can do this. Last Wayfinder takes place 20 years in the future. There we go. And you are following two sisters who were living in a prison all of their life with their mother, who is part of the Ainur or Ainur, or I don't know. I don't know how to say the word, but they are a group of people who have a magical ability that is called wayfinding, where they can connect with and see and find the things that they're looking for, the things, people, creatures, mostly through their natural forces. And things happen, and the oldest sister again gets cursed, and the youngest sister is trying to solve the problem while being chased by those who want to end the Wayfinder family line. And you learn a lot about the kingdom and a lot about the politics of what is going on, and about the evil that has kind of spread throughout the kingdom and the effects that it has on individuals. I really loved this story. It had me laughing and crying, and I have it like tabbed up galore on the side because I thought the banter is fun, the romanticy side, cute, funny, the inner character work of the main character, and now I can't think of what her name is. Why can I not think of her name? Kira. Mira and Kira. I should be able to do that. Anyways, but Kira is struggling with a lot of inner turmoil because of all the things that have happened in her life, growing up in a prison and the losses that she's suffered, and trying to figure out how to deal with all that while being a little bit arrogant in her ways and overconfident in herself, and learning to rely on other people when she's never been able to trust anyone outside of her family. And it's just a beautiful, like I said, a beautiful testimony of finding strength in your weaknesses. And it is beautiful. Absolutely loved the character work. I love the romanticy side of it. And I really think that the political side of it is very intriguing. And I'm desperate for another book that tells me what on earth happened from here to here in the kingdom of Ezo, because crazy things happened. And I was very anxious for all of my favorite characters in here throughout this novel. But it was absolutely beautiful, and I read it quickly because I just loved it so much. There are some in this particular one, which I thought was kind of neat. Let me see if I can find one. There's some cute little, I think you call it Ghibli? I don't know how to say it. Little sketches. They're so cute. Not a lot, but there's a few in there, and that just adds to it, and they have cute little notes. But I absolutely love these books, love this author, and cannot wait to read more of whatever she writes, because everything has been absolutely beautiful and a beautiful testimony. Though set in a fantasy world, you can definitely tell it's written by a Christian author. If you're a Christian, if you weren't a Christian, there's not like any Christian things that you would notice, but as a Christian, you see the influence of it in the writing, and it is just absolutely beautiful. Highly recommend. So that is Ellen McGinty for you.